A lot of times when we think about our website content, we're thinking about it from our perspective. What do we think about it? How does it resonate with us? As opposed to thinking about it from the audience perspective. And sometimes that can be super overwhelming. Well, how do I know how my audience is going to perceive this content or perceive this page on my website, engage, interact with it, right? And if you're just starting out, or even if you have a smaller audience, analytics don't always give us the things that we need because we just don't have enough traffic coming to our site to make thoughtful decisions. And that's okay. A lot of traffic to your website does not mean success. They're not necessarily the same thing. Excuse me. So that's what we are going to talk about today. How can you use AI and some thoughtful strategies around how to structure your content to make it easier for your users to connect with you, engage with you online, and participate in what you need them to do? Make a donation, share with their friends, utilize your programs or services. And to help me with this conversation is my guest today, Aaron Husak. He has spent 20 plus years in HVAC, plumbing, solar, and energy efficiency building businesses. He founded Balanced Comfort in Fresno, California in 2012 and grew it from one employee to a peak of 130 plus, earning Inc. 5000 4 years in a row, peaking at number 511. And at the same time, he earned the Great Places to Work certification 3 times, all while building 5-star service culture with 4,000 plus 5-star reviews online. So he knows a thing or two about how to structure your business, your organization, online, and how to engage with your customers in a meaningful way. Your donors, your community, insert whatever it is there. Okay, before we get into it though, this episode is brought to you by Oh My Hi. Every website needs a business, and sometimes that can be an overwhelming thing as well. So head on over to thefirstclick.net/ohmyhi to hear my amazing conversation with co-founder Becky Launder so that you can learn more about her easy platform for getting a website that works for you and having all of the systems in place to help you capture, convert, and engage with your audience with ease. Everybody needs a website, and Oh My Hi is a great way to do just that. Again, head on over to thefirstclick.net/ohmyhi to learn more and see how you can get your website built for you for a fraction of the cost that it would take for a custom build. Let's get into the episode. You're listening to the Digital Marketing Therapy Podcast. I'm your host, Sammy Bedell-Mulhern. Each month, we dive deep into a digital marketing or fundraising strategy that you can implement in your organization. Each week, you'll hear from guest experts, nonprofits, and myself on best practices, tips, and resources to help you raise more money online and reach your organizational goals. Hey friends, please join me in welcoming Aaron Husak to the podcast. Aaron, thanks for being here today.
Oh, thanks so much for having me.
So we have another episode on AI with a different twist, because I just love that there are so many different ways that we could be using it. And we're talking about all of those things here on the podcast, not necessarily in just this episode, but in general. But Aaron, before we kind of jump into our topic today, I would love to just kind of hear a little bit more about your story and why AI is such a powerful tool that you like to have in your toolbox.
Absolutely. So a little bit about my background. I've been mostly in the home service industry since 2006, actually. Started way back then in the solar industry. And at that time, we were still having to explain to people, yes, this actually does convert sunlight into electricity. People thought we were calling for their pool. And yeah, it was a whole different time in solar back then. Eventually moved into energy efficiency, and then ended up doing insulation, air conditioning, plumbing. So I've handled a lot of different trades within the home. Most recently had a business. We had grown to about 133 employees at our peak, and ended up finding someone to take over, sold the business just over a year ago now. Worked in the business for about a year with the new owners, and then decided, I'm gonna kind of do my own thing. I'm excited about trying my hand at a marketing agency, which is what I started about 3 months ago, 4 months ago now. Yeah,
I love that. And how does AI kind of support you in the work that you're doing and kind of growing your business?
I mean, it's a superpower, really. It's given me the ability to do so much more than what I would be capable of doing without AI, and then just things that I don't know how to do that AI has allowed me to do. Um, and that's, on one hand, it's writing emails. On the extreme opposite end, it's creating apps. And I'm not a coder. I'm not a developer,
Yeah.
but I've been able to leverage some of the software built around AI in order to do things that, otherwise it would just not be possible. So yeah, it's been very helpful. I've really leaned into AI with this company as kind of a, how much can I actually do with AI in building this company that, I'm just kind of piloting, if you will,
Yeah.
not in terms of actually just kind of, I've got my hand on the controls, but I'm letting AI do a majority of the work here. So
Love that.
it's been fun. Yeah.
Yeah. It's always changing and evolving. There's always a new problem and way to use it. And so I think that's fantastic. But today we're talking specifically, we've talked a lot about content creation and how AI can help you with that. But we haven't really talked about kind of the prompts or the ways to engage with AI to make that content more user friendly. So we talk a lot about user experience with your website and how people engage. So kind of let's just kind of start with how have you used AI to maybe take the content, or how do you kind of start with, I've got this great thing, but now how do I actually make sure that my readers can use it, or they're going to skim it and find it usable, or like, how do we kind of take that next step in refining that content we're creating?
Sure. So since I'm building not only my website but websites for other people, I'm constantly looking at it through the lens of, how will Google view this article? How will now AI view this article? And then ultimately, how will users review and leverage this information to be helpful? Because at the end of the day, if that's not happening, then all of the metrics in terms of how long people are spending on my website are going to suffer, and Google's not going to see my content as being valuable. And so what's really important for people to do, if they haven't already, is to create a master prompt. And the master prompt is kind of your guidebook or directions to whatever AI platform you're using. Virtually all of them can handle something like this. And explain to them, okay, here's who I am, here's who I'm targeting, this is the level that I want you to write to, and this is what my readers would find helpful or useful. And so if you create that prompt, it saves you from having to do as much editing or explanation every single time you go in and go through, whatever it is, the topic that you're writing about recently. And it makes that content seem less like it's AI written. Because we're in this kind of catch 22 where we want people to think that we wrote it. Everyone knows that it's more likely that AI is writing it. However, if something goes wrong, we would like to be able to blame AI that it was the AI's fault that they wrote it, but you can't. You have to review everything that you're putting out, because it's written by you at that point. So I think having that master prompt is critical to help get the AI to write something for readers that's valuable. The other thing that we're seeing being very useful for AI is having a section, a TLDR section at the top. So basically a summary, too long, didn't read, summary at the top. AI likes to see that, and personally, I like to see that as well, because most of the time that I would rather just read that and skip over the rest. But AI can write that for you. So
yeah, well, I was going to say, because there's a couple things here with that is, I think it's always easier to write longer. It's always harder to write more succinct and short. So the beauty of the TLDR is, number one, is if people aren't sure if they want to read the longer article, great. They can get a synopsis and then decide if they want to jump in. Or if people just want the digestible part, then they can just take that and run with it and move on. But there's a couple different ways you can do that, right? Like you can start with writing kind of that TLDR piece and give it into AI to help have it go longer. Or if you go the other way and you write the longer piece, you can have it shrink it up. So it's kind of like a great way to kind of use your own words to guide also what you're trying to create.
Yeah. No, and that's, if you're writing longer and having AI summarize it, that's a great approach. Obviously, you still need to go through it to make sure it's still captured your message. I'm typically looking at it from the other way around, where I'm giving the AI key concepts and saying, here's where I want to go, build this out, because I'm a one-man operation right now, and so my time is incredibly valuable. And leveraging AI to be able to develop that stuff for me is very useful. So.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, for nonprofits, your concept of the master prompt is also super helpful, because if you have maybe volunteers or other people that are helping you write the content, you can kind of also, if multiple people are doing the work, ensure that the voice stays the same. So I think that's a really great tip. Yeah.
Good point. So.
Okay, so let's jump in like the next step. So let's say you have your content written, you're ready to publish, but you want to make sure, because we know people skim and scan. So kind of how have you used AI to maybe format your content a little bit better so that it is a better user experience?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to follow some of the, trusted and long-standing structure of either an article, a list, these things that we see that are really popular. Lists have gotten huge, and for a while they were really important from a search engine optimization standpoint. Now what we're seeing is that AI really likes to see lists, your best of, those types of things. And so it really depends on the goal of the article that you're writing, and just sticking to that format so that if someone's looking through it, they can skip to, okay, well, here's the heading of this section. I'm just going to go right to it. If it's for a website, that looks like internal links. So you're linking from that article to maybe something else that's relevant specifically for that section somewhere else on your site. So I think it's just really important that the AI understands this is the structure that I'm looking for. And if you're publishing this on, say, your website, you're going to be able to get specific metrics on how long people spent on that page. And what's great is you could also create another article, same information, take one article and make it into two articles. And now you're essentially A/B testing your content.
Yeah.
And see if possibly a different format, layout, or some of these changes that probably would have taken you several more hours to redo on your own, that it can come up with instantly, and test to see if readers were more likely to engage with that different format.
Yeah. Well, and it's important to note that you don't want to have the exact same content on two pages with different formatting. You want to have kind of like a little bit of a different flair. But maybe even another way to do that, if you didn't want to A/B test similar content, I mean, could you also just kind of A/B test the different formats? Like maybe you play with your blog, like the most popular blog posts that you already have, and change up the format and see if that updates or changes kind of how people are interacting, engaging, and converting with what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I apologize. When I'm talking about A/B testing, it would be one page for if you had 100 people visit that site, 50 people would see one version and 50 people would see the other. Not saying that you should necessarily have duplicate articles on your site. That's a good point, because Google doesn't want that.
Yeah, and it depends on the platform you use. So if you're like, I don't know how to do that, that seems too technical, pay attention to the website, that the the way that your website is built, a lot of them have an A/B testing opportunity built in, so it makes it super easy. Okay,
Yes.
well, thank you for clarifying that, because we have a lot of non-techie people here, and so we want to make sure they understand what we're saying.
And if you're not sure how to do or what that is, I mean, you can just ask AI and it's going to walk you through it. That's the best part. I mean, there's so many things that used to be out of reach for everyone, really, that now it's just, oh, I don't know how to do that. That's not a dead end anymore.
Yeah. No, such a great point.
It makes it really cool.
And this doesn't just relate to your blog content or long form content. Like if you're not blogging, you could also kind of use this process or this strategy for like even maximizing your homepage or your other pages at your services page on your website, your donation page, right? To kind of give you ideas for how to make them more user friendly.
100%. 100%. And I mean, if you're not blogging right now, it's never been easier to blog, really, because blogs are time consuming. Mm-hmm. We've known that blogs are important for sites for years and years. And it's always been a challenge to just sit down and write a blog that you were comfortable with or happy about. Now it's too easy to write a blog, quite frankly. And that can lead to, not necessarily great content. So yeah, just it is something that's available to everyone now, though.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get real specific. Like what prompts do you, if you are working with your AI, you've got your master prompt, you've got your content written, like what do you specifically feed into your favorite AI tool to have it reformat it with like the TLDR and with the headers like you want it to? Like how does it know what is the most important part of it to make sure it can call those things out?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I've got the article written. I'm actually going to start asking AI if I am, just call it a 35-year-old in, say, I'm just going to use my industry because it's relevant, a 35-year-old homeowner with a family. What am I seeing about this article? Are there any takeaways that someone of that group might be looking for that is not included here? Mm-hmm. And so I'm utilizing AI to put itself in the reader's shoes and then telling me what it's seeing or what it's not seeing based off of that article. And so that would be one specific way where I could get some more information and feedback from AI on maybe some of the things that I hadn't thought about because I'm not in that group, for instance, and just a different angle to potentially look at it. So asking questions about the end reader. You could just simply also ask, what would make this article better? Mm-hmm. I mean, some of these questions seem basic, but if they're used properly, you're going to end up with potentially a better article, or at least a different way of looking at how the reader might view it.
Yeah, I think that's really smart because a lot of times we are so in the day-to-day of what we do. We know so much about what we do, but we don't talk about it in the same way that the average population does. So sometimes even like us writing it ourselves could be more alienating because we're using jargon and we're not connecting to the actual emotional connection of our reader. So I love that question of, here's my ideal person. What would they want? What would be missing? What would they need to connect to it? Just as that gut check, especially in smaller organizations, because we're a small team of 2, but I do all the content creation. Our other person is, the tech designer side of things. And so he doesn't help me with any of this stuff. So sometimes you need somebody to verbally process that. And AI is a great way to do that.
Yeah. You get so far down the rabbit hole of, whatever technical terms that you're so used to, you don't realize that someone else coming in to read this has no clue. They're completely lost at that point, So,
yeah. Well, lost with the words, but also like you might not be answering the questions that are their objections or their concerns or their emotional feelings about the topic at hand.
Yeah. So that it can aid with discovery of really, is this actually addressing what I wanted to?
Yeah. So when you're kind of putting the finishing touches on your content, are you also asking AI like how to include next steps? Like what should be the next step? What should be the conversion? Because I'm a strong believer that every piece of content should have a next step. So are you also utilizing it to help you with that side of your marketing to kind of keep them moving forward?
Yes, I am, because you want to make sure that that's as easy as possible. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you don't want them to think, okay, I'm done. Now what? Because generally that means they're clicking off of your site and going either back to Google or they're going somewhere else. So yeah, providing kind of all the content around that topic is really helpful. And then it's also really good for, as potential customers are using ChatGPT to search for things now,
Mm-hmm.
or they're using Gemini to look things up. They they really want to see that you're the expert in your field. And so if you've got um, a pillar of content, meaning you've got content pretty much looked at from every single angle, if you've got a particular topic and you've got articles looking at pretty much every particular angle, and you've got a pillar of content now, AI is seeing that as, okay, this person has more expertise on this topic. Therefore, if someone searches a who's the best at or something along those lines, you're going to be more likely to show up, as opposed to just putting one article up about that topic. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, that kind of, tails into having those next steps available for the customer.
Yeah. And not to overwhelm people, this is a brand new term. I know you all are just getting used to SEO, but if you see the term AEO out there, that's
Yes.
basically what Aaron is talking about, how you
Yes.
show up in search in AI, and not a topic we've talked about a lot on here because it's, I think, brand new and unfolding, but definitely something we'll have to dive deeper into because you're right. People are using their favorite AI tool. And I think for nonprofits, it is extremely important that you do all this and that you do, like Aaron's saying, create that pillar content, because it's harder for people to trust nonprofits in general. So we have to do everything we can to kind of build that trust and let people know that when they do get that search result, we are the one that they can actually trust and we are legit. And that comes from the content that you're putting on your website and the way that it's formulated. So I love all of that. Super great stuff. So I would love if you could maybe share, like, as you started on your AI journey, like, what was something maybe that surprised you, or what was a mistake that you, or not a mistake, because the only mistake is if you publish something that you know is not truthful or you don't check what you're doing.
Sure.
But I mean, kind of, what was kind of something that you kind of worked through and maybe took you a little bit longer, and then all of a sudden you kind of refined your process as it comes to content creation, or like a quick tip that you might want to share with people?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question. So, I think right now it's important that you're not getting just married to one AI.
Mm.
I think the challenge that we're starting to have is that there are a lot of good options out there in terms of which AI to use. There are also some out there that I have not been impressed by. I don't think their answers are
Same.
very good. They're dumber in terms of AI, if that's a thing. But we're seeing Gemini make some real strides in terms of their model. There's every week there's a brand new, extremely hyped up model that's coming out from one of the major players, and so it's important not to get married to just one model. Try several out, see if they write, which one writes better for you. If I've heard that that Claude is maybe one of the best writing tools out there. But that could change next week. And so if you're only familiar with that one, that may not work to your benefit. So
Yep.
just kind of be agnostic when it comes to which AI model that's out there. I've been excited about AI for years, and just kind of watching it evolve into what we have now. And now it's just kind of a companion for me throughout the day. I've been using Manus, which is relatively new to the scene. They were just purchased by Meta about, I want to say maybe a month ago or so, for about $2 billion. And we're moving into agentic AI, which is a whole new ball game, and that's kind of what's really exciting about where we're headed. But the reason I brought up Manus is that I was able to build my new website on it, and that I was able to build pretty quickly. But the page development is what I really like, because now I've realized that when I see questions from either potential customers or other companies online, I can go into Manus and I can say, create a blog article about this question. So I'm using social media and questions from social media. I'm taking it to Manus and adding those questions to my website, because they're not the only people asking that question.
For sure.
And so looking at other ways and means to develop content outside of just what's in my head is kind of the thing that I've been doing recently, and the thing that I'm excited about moving forward. So
I love that, because I think that one of my favorite books, I think it's They Ask, You Answer. And I can't remember who the author is now, but I will make sure that it is in the show notes. But that's exactly the philosophy, is that, he was a pool installer, and then the market crashed. And so his business went away, but he rebuilt it back up. And part of it was answering the questions that people had, and kind of the start of inbound marketing. But what I love about it is, in his time, he was having to write all that content and generate all those best of lists. And now I think it's brilliant what you said. Now it's taking those objections, those questions that people are asking, because you're right. If it's showing up in search, then at least hundreds of people are asking, or thousands, right? Yeah. Depending on your demographic. Yeah. And so that's a great way to go. I also say, think about the phone calls and the emails that you get. What questions are you getting over and over and over again into your contact form or at your front desk? And how can you utilize, then you put all those into AI and have them write blog posts for you, because now you're doing double dipping. You're getting the kind of that organic search potential. You're building trust, I guess, triple duty, and hopefully saving your staff time, because they don't have to answer those questions all the time. They can send out those resources pretty quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, where we're headed, and some of the platforms will do this now, you can just use your website as the resource to train a model. Yeah. And so you're saying, scan my website, and if you've got all of that there already, you're going to be ahead of the game, on several different levels. So yeah, exactly.
I love this. Well, Aaron, thank you so much for bringing your insights and your wisdom. This went really fast. I know that we talked a lot about content creation, but hopefully you got some good tips from Aaron on how to take that content and make it a better user experience, because at the end of the day, that's what we're looking for in order to ensure people are spending time on our site, engaging with us, taking action. Aaron, is there any kind of last words of wisdom that you want to share? Otherwise, how can people connect with you if they want to learn more about you and what you do?
Sure. So I'm very active on Facebook. They can look me up, Aaron Husak. My company is Sequoia GEO, which is GEO. So the Sequoia, like the tree, and then GEO is Generative Engine Optimization, which is another term that's being thrown around for AI search. But those would be the ways that people can connect with me. And I think I would leave with just have an open mind about what's available to you in terms of tools, and start eliminating any of the reasons why you can't, or you're not sure, or you're uncertain. Start leveraging AI to help overcome those things, and let it become your superpower. So
I love that. And we'll have all of his links and resources in the show notes at thefirstclick.net/320. Aaron, thank you for being here today.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So thank you again to my guest, Erin, for joining me today. I hope you got some great new strategies and ways to think about how your website is structured. I'm so excited for you to check out all of the resources at thefirstclick.net/320320. And don't forget, this is the year of doing, not just the year of learning. So when you're there, you'll grab the spreadsheet that has all of our podcast episodes listed on it and with the categories associated. So you can find the pain point that you're dealing with right now. Grab all of the episodes from last year and this year that are going to help you work on that problem, fix it, or do better, or have strategies around it so you can even be even more successful in what you're working on. And get unstuck if you're stuck in the weeds. As always, you can send us an email, hello@thefirstclick.net, if you have questions. We are here to support you. But again, the show notes are at thefirstclick.net/320. I hope that you will subscribe wherever you listen. New episodes come out every Tuesday, and we don't want you to miss out on a single one. But for now, thank you so much for taking the time to tune in, to listen, and I'll see you in the next one.